Hello, I'm Michael with Joto Imaging Supplies, coming to you with another dye sublimation tutorial video. Today we're going to work with some textiles, taking you from this to something like this. So these are our makeup cases. They're also beautiful pencil cases, perfect for back to school and things like that. Can take beautiful images. And you have, of course, a nice big canvas to work with. Also, it is double-sided, and you can sublimate on both sides, not worrying that you're going to fade the second side with the second impression. You can't, however, do both sides at the same time. You do have to do two impressions to do both sides. All right, so the way to begin is decide what side you want your image on, or if you're going to do multiple images, which side you want which image on. And take your image, and this is another one of my wife's pieces that she does, my wife Olga Cuttle from Ola Design. I love her stuff, and I get to show it off here, so what a pleasure. But you can see that what I've done is I have, in fact, cut my image to a size that makes it easy to place on my makeup case. And the reason for that is, of course, that I can't see through the paper. So I cut very close to the image's size to give myself some center edge, right? To give myself a way to properly center it. The other thing is, you may notice with this one that I could have, and in fact with this one I did, cut it out closer to the image like this. But when I did that, I actually left a small impression where the paper was pushing into the canvas and received more pressure than the rest of the canvas did. With a little rubbing, that will come out. But if you want to avoid that altogether, there is a simple way to do it, and that is just make sure that your entire image is a solid block. You will waste a little bit of paper, but it's not a big deal. And it will allow you to avoid that creasing, except maybe to the farthest outsides, where also, you know, there is already some seam work, and that area actually will be raised in pressure as well. Do be thoughtful not to have image too close to the edges that get too close to the seams. These seams are raised slightly. So you really want to keep your image inside the border of where the seams get raised, right? If you get it outside, you'll get an image that is stronger here where there's higher pressure on the seam and weaker here in the middle. Also, we are going to use a higher level of pressure in order to push it down and try and get it as even as possible. Let's go to our press, shall we? So we're waiting for our press to heat up right now. I've got it set to 380 degrees for 120 seconds. The pressure is going to be high. And the reason for the high pressure is, as I explained, that you do have those seams that bring up the level that is away from your impression area. So you really want to make sure that you're pushing down so that you're getting as much pressure on your image area as possible. If you don't do that, what will happen is you'll see your image and it'll almost appear as though your image is drifting a little on your impression area, and that just doesn't look quite right, and it can in fact ruin your piece. So do avoid that by using a fairly high pressure. Now, I don't like using high pressure when I'm pressing things that have zippers. But one of the things you'll notice about this particular product is that it has got a very nice, strong metal zipper. You can hear that zip quality. That's one of the things I really like about this particular product, and one of the reasons why it's actually a product that I myself sell my wife's work on. Let's let that press heat up, and we'll show you what to do next. While I'm waiting for it to heat up, I'm going to do something that I don't need to do, but it is a good practice to get into. That's pre-pressing. So if that's going to be the side I want to image on, I set that up on the press, cover it up, make sure I am covering it with a piece of butcher paper or some other thin piece of cheap paper. And then I push down for a few seconds. Not long, just long enough that I know that I have completely flattened my area and that any creases will show themselves if there were going to be any. It does help, particularly on larger canvas sizes. And when you're doing stuff like this, or tote bags or pillowcases, it's not a bad practice to get into. I don't always do it. You don't absolutely have to do it, but it's not a terrible practice. One thing you do want to watch out for is that, of course, your textile will be very hot after it comes out if your temperature is at full, if you're at full temperature. So don't put your image against it right away. You don't want any echoes through that. This is basically ready, so we're going to get our substrate in and get ready to go. There's our cue. So one of the things you can do if your image permits it, mine don't, but if your image permits it, you can bring the piece to the edge where the zipper is actually hanging out over the front. But remember, your press isn't going to come right up to this point. You're going to have to dip your image a little lower. If your image permits for that, great. If not, don't worry about pressing these zippers. As I mentioned, they're quite durable. So then we're going to take our image. In this case, it's going to be our bunny peekaboo. Don't worry, we're going to do that lady I showed you earlier, but we'll do this one first because I have two of it. Don't forget to make sure that your image is facing the proper way. I have put them in upside down in the past. Not many times, but it definitely does happen occasionally. And once you're centered and happy with how you're centered, get your top sheet, place that over. Remember to make sure that your pressure is fairly heavy. I'm going to give it another little, maybe eighth of a twist there, just to make sure, but I've already checked this. That's good heavy pressure. This should be fine. We've got 115 seconds. We'll see you then. 5 seconds left. We're going to see what it looks like just in a sec. Pops up on its own. I just do that with my top sheet, with my sublimation page. Oh, let's take a look. Beautiful, sharp image, as you can see. Now, what I like to do is make sure that I lay it somewhere flat so that when it cools flat, and it ends up keeping that shape. Whatever shape you've got it in as it's cooling, that's the shape it's going to keep. So best to get it somewhere flat just for its initial cooling. It will cool very quickly. And you'll be able to throw it right back in about, not even a minute would be required. Now, one of the things to watch out for is if you do decide to throw it back in, remember this ink will continue to sublimate, which means that it will end up on your bottom sheet of paper. Then you'll need to throw this bottom sheet away, or it would sublimate again onto the next image that you use. So just be thoughtful of that you're going to have to be replacing your bottom sheets after every press that you're having a face down image. So I'm Michael with Joto Imaging Supplies. Thank you for joining us for another sublimation tutorial video. If you like what we do, please like, subscribe, and if you really like it, tell your friends as well. Also, please, in the comments, let us know what you would like us to do next, what we can do better, or how we can serve you better. We look forward to hearing from you and seeing you again next time.